do this starter tutorial with you. As Akın Hocam said that if you are comfortable with R, if you are comfortable with coding, if you have learned lots of data science stuff before attending this class, you may leave, because I'm going to cover very basic things with R, starting from how could you install to some basic data structures and data types. And let me begin with telling you about something about R and Python. It really doesn't matter which programming language you choose. The important thing is that how you could handle data. I mean, do you understand the real world data? Do you understand your research? Are you asking the right research questions? This really matters because you can always get the tutorials. You can always search for the great analysis. You can read papers, etc., etc. Please select whichever programming language fits you, because time to time I heard that learning R could be hard for some people and vice versa. So don't just stick with one. Please try to learn each of them. So each language are interpreted. They have C and C++ foundation. So you can do one thing in each language. So they are actually interchangeable. You don't have to choose one. You can choose one, you can do whatever you want, but you can use them interchangeable, you can use them combined. And I prefer using them combined because each language have different strong sides. For example, R is founded as a really scientific language from the beginning. It has really strong statistical packages. I will tell you about what is a package and how could you find packages, right packages for your analysis, etc. Otherwise, on the other hand, Python is a general programming language. In Python, you can create websites, you can do other things, as well as doing data science. And Python machine learning languages, packages are, I think, stronger than R, but both of them has this deep learning packages, TensorFlow and Keras. Don't worry if you don't heard about these packages. Our advanced tutorials will cover that, and I think Yunus Emre will cover a great tutorial about how could you handle a visual analysis, image analysis with Python. But don't worry, you can do each and everything with either language. So if you have not started your programming language learning journey, and don't worry, it's going to be a long journey, it's going to be a bumpy journey. The longest journey starts with the first step. So don't compare yourself with others. I strongly don't recommend that. It's about you and your journey. Please be patient, and you feel time to time you will ask, what am I doing? Sometimes, and if you don't understand what you are doing, if you are lost, then you are on the right way. That's your path, because only you don't know what you are doing, you are learning. So copy pasting a tutorial is not learning. You need to try real world examples, and don't be afraid of anything. There are great resources, great tutorials on the web. And if you haven't taken a programming tutorial, I strongly suggest you should take one from DataCamp or Coursera or Udemy or FreeCodeCamp. There are lots of resources. We will not be able to cover everything about programming, data science, analysis, etc. This is going to be a short time to learn these many things. So let me start with how could you install R and RStudio to your computers. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, this is not. Can you see my screen? I think it's okay. Okay. I'm going to start with how could you download R? You go to Google and search R download, and that's really simple. And you need to find the correct link. It's not going to be a share shortcuts or a routine call Google, etc. You need to go rproject.org. So this is the base R website for you. You can try to download R 4.3.1. And these versions are really matters because time to time the packages cannot be available from these versions. So don't worry, but you can download the most recent one from here. I'm using a Windows machine, so you can either download this from here. I think, unfortunately, I'm not using an Ubuntu computer right now, but I assume since you are social scientists and since you are still here against our advice to leave, so you are novice users and Windows users, I assume you can find a download package, download installer for either Windows or Macintosh.
There are actually quite advanced R people here, but they're so kind that they're not leaving. Like I know some of them, so they're very kind, which means that like we picked the correct people. Like even though they know R, they still want to do a refresher, and so yes, so I know exactly from the applications who is very good with R. They're still here. Respect. So
if you want to say something about R, you can just interrupt me, and it can be a conversational tutorial since it's a starter pack. So let me know if I skip something important. If you know something amazing about R and I don't know, please let us share. Share us with on the where is this? Maybe message box, etc. I mean, don't worry. Just please interrupt me. So this is the R base, and you can download R from here, and you can just discover from here to what is ekran, this R. You can read about R journal. We have our journal, which is a great source to understand the packages, because really prestigious scholars are sharing their packages from this journal. It's a very important source for you to learn. So I am going to, CRAN is Comprehensive Archive Network. It's the abbreviation for this long text, long explanation. You can see there is R for Windows, R for Mac OS, R for Linux, and each one of the link has their explanations. To download R from here. I already downloaded R, so I have R on my computer installed. But as you can see, this is RStudio. R and RStudio are two different things. R is the programming language you are going to use. RStudio is a development environment. It's an editor. I can say that it's an editor. You are going to download from. I think POSIT. They changed the name of RStudio to POSIT because nowadays you can use Python and R combined just from RStudio, and it has a great interface. I'm going to cover soon, but let me show you what is RStudio. RStudio download. Yes, this is the way. Yeah, POSIT.co. It's United Kingdom based company. RStudio desktop. You are going to, I'm accepting all. You are going to download this version because they have other products as well here. They have RStudio Server, Shiny, which is a great and programming user interface library, you to share your analysis and even build advanced applications. Please, if you are expert in R but you don't heard about Shiny, please check it. And our packages. Quarto is a new version of our markdowns. It has, I think, internal server to run without outside of our studio environment. So we are going to cover many things, as you can see. Our studio is, don't worry, this pricing. Our studio is an open source and free to use application. But as you can see, if you want to go pro, the prices are really high, and if you want to buy as an enterprise, it's going to crazy. But don't worry, we are going to use it as free. So you need to first download R to your computers. Then you need to download RStudio to your computers and install them separately. Then you will have this nice development environment. This is my markdown document, as you can see. Don't worry if you are confused or don't understand anything, because, as I said, it is the part of the journey. You need to be lost to find your correct path. So I'm going to cover data types and structures today. But if you have a question, please ask me right now about R and RStudio. Otherwise, I will continue with data types and structures. No questions? Okay, I'm going to continue with RStudio. Okay, I'm going to close this one. As you can see, I have created an introduction, normal introduction. I have created slides with our markdown, but some of the codes does not appear very well on the slides, so I transform it. This is normal. Don't worry. I'm going to cover data types and structures because you are on the path of being a data scientist and or computational social scientist, however you like to call yourself. But you need to understand what is data and how could you handle, how could you form, transform, or analyze or report, visualize it in our environment. These are really basic and foundational structures, data types and data structures. You need to really have a strong understanding of these two. Then you will put the basic programming abilities, skills, such as using loops, using functions, using conditionals, if as structures. On top of these data types and structures, then you will be really comfortable with doing any analysis you want, however you want. So, as I said, data is everywhere. As we all know, we have sensor data, we have social media, we have internet-based data, we have Internet of Things data, we have all kinds of governmental data, as Akın Hocam said, OECD, World Bank, etc. They have great resources. So data is everywhere, but in order to understand, in order to use this data, you need to have the right research question. You need to start with the right question. You shouldn't start with a data. You shouldn't start with analysis. You shouldn't start with Python or R. You should start with a question. That's the beginning of the learning journey, learning path, in my view. So we are calling data is too big. We are using big data. I am doing big data analysis, etc., etc. People saying that these things. But do you know how big data is? Do you have a basic understanding, or do you have any guess? You can have any guess. You can shoot from the message box.
Which one? Which data?
Big data, how big it is.
Oh, okay.
Do you know, Akın Hocam, how big it is?
I know, so I shouldn't answer.
Okay.
Other
It is,
people.
I know it is big, but I don't know how big it is. Recently, I searched this answer of this question. In 2017 or 18, Helen Margetts, one of the leading AI scientists, written a paper, a science paper, I guess, Nature or Science paper. They stated that the amount of the size of data built each day is 2.5 cantillion bytes. I don't think you you have a grasp what is a 2.5 cantillion bytes, and I try to understand what it is, what does it mean. So I translated into my normal people language like me. It is 2 million times of whole printed books in Millet Library. If you don't know Millet Library, you can think of Congress Library, you can think of British Library. 2.5 cantillion byte is really big, as you understand. But it was only 2017 or 18. It was 5 years ago. And in 2022, another research, another paper just cite that, referred that every year we produce a large amount of data. Unfortunately, I don't remember the units. It was about 60 something bytes. But again, I translated it to a normal people language. Each year we are producing a large data that if you translated this amount into music, I know Akın Hocam loves music, and he's great at playing many instruments. As you should check YouTube videos of Akın Hocam, you will be amazed how great he is. He is a very talented person, one of the most talented person I ever met. So again, if we translate this amount into music, you are going to have a long playlist that it's going to last 165 million years. This is the song playlist we are producing each year. So data is really big. Data comes from in different forms. It's image form, it is in text form, audio form, or video form, etc., etc. Location, geolocation, geometry, networks, graphs, etc., etc. You need to understand the data forms, data types, to be able to use the data in your analysis and be comfortable with what you are doing. So I'm going to start with data types. There are 6 or 7 data types, and I will continue with structures at the second part. I'm going to start with categorical data. These data types are mostly in a string format, in character format, in R environment. But a category refers to your data points group. For example, we have very many international attendees in this session. So it could be nation. It could be religious affiliation. It could be types of government, democracy, autocracy. It can be gender. So if you want to create a categorical variable, don't worry, I'm going to share this document with you as soon as possible at the end of the session. I'm going to send Emre, and I think he will be able to put it on the web. So you need to use the factor function. It's a base R function. You don't need to download or install anything. You can just go to R and type this to create factors categorical variable. Let me show you something. For example, nationality group or category. Let me call it category. We can we need to use factor. As you can see, once you type a few letters, RStudio will show you this kind of functions, which one you want to use. You can select by just simply the arrows, up and down arrows, and you can select with your mouse. I'm going to use factor. I'm going to use just, what it is in the levels. As you can see, there is another function here. Is combined. You need to use this function to create a list. Let me show you. Nationality: Turkey, United Kingdom, USA. Or USA is not a nationality. It's but just worry. Just let me continue with this type of. I think. Blah. We have nationality categorical variables. So let me just print it. I'm going to hit Control and enter letters to print nationality categorical variable to my console. So as you can see, Turkish, UK, USA, Italy, it's just created these levels just automatically. But however, you can create your levels as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will see nice, because you will face this kind of bugs or this kind of different behavior. Don't worry, just try different things and try to find the correct path, your analysis, what you are trying to do. Let me use same strings I'm using in the as you can see, levels and factors should be the same strings. So this is categorical variable. Where you need to use this categorical variable, I don't think you are going to use this factor function outside of your data structures. But you need to understand what's a factor, what's a categorical variable, to be able to group your data points into logical groups, logical clusters. So you can use print gender function. Print is an base R function to print anything to console, or you can just go to our console and let me show you. Just call this original form of data name, a variable name. You will be able to see its values on the console. So let me continue with an ordinal variable. I'm pretty sure we have great people in the session, so you are aware of these data types, but I'm going to show you them in our environment. So an ordinal data is let me show you. We have a okay. An ordinal data type is a categorical variable, but as an ordered way. So as you can see, we just tried to use the levels in previous example, but here since we are using ordered true parameter true, high school, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, they will be in order from high school to doctorate. If you don't use order true, they will be in free order. So it is in for example, while you are plotting your data, doctorate come before high school, or bachelor comes from after the doctorate, etc. If you don't want to face this kind of absurd behavior or unwanted behavior, you need to order your data to print and plot in a nice way, in your right way. So this is ordinal data. And we have numeric data types, which is basically, it could be a discrete type or a continuous type. For example, if you are counting ages, you can just say that you can use just only integers. But if you are trying to measure weights, you need to use doubles or other kind of continuous data types. For example, GDP, income, age, weight of a person, or discrete types are integers, number of the children, number of the students in the school, number of people who are attending in an election or in a class or in a survey, etc., etc. What you need to do to create an integer variable, and I strongly don't suggest that you should use integer, character, etc. in your variable names. You should use other variable names in order to abstain from confusion. Let me call you that one. If you just assign any integer to a variable, you can just assign it as an integer. R will interpret the types automatically. So, for example, let me show you a character. So this is this is a confusing example. Let me call you the word. Okay, let me clean my console by just hitting the Control and plus L. Control plus L. I'm going to clean my console to show you our variable types easily. Let me show you. This is character types. Are understood it's automatically. It assigns an integer value to var int and a character value or string value to variable character. Don't worry, Python is the same as well. They are both very intelligent programming languages. On the other hand, if you will use Java or C, C++, etc., other versions of C, you will need to define the data type as well. But in R, you don't need to define the data type beforehand. So you just assign the value to a variable. R will interpret it as you want. So this is, let me copy paste this to my script. As you can see, this C has a special meaning in R. It's a function. It creates a list. Soon we are going to cover what's a list. But let me just assign it by just hitting Control plus Enter in console. As you can see, I assigned this 23 to 25 values to age. And when I write age on my console and hit Enter, as you can see, I will have these variables, but I can also go to index of the integer value by just writing the index value. And in R, indices are starting from 1. In Python, time to time, you need to be careful about this starting indices. Because in arrays, in some formats, starting from 0, but in R, it always starts from 1. You need to go to, you need to write the 1 to go to this first value. So I'm going to, I'm sorry, I'm going to close my cell phone. It is telling lots of things. Okay, let me continue with binary variable. This data type just holds only 2 types of variable value. It could be a yes or no, presence, absence, or true, false in general. So if you have a binary variable, you can have lots of the parameters in your functions, but they are going to have only 2 types of values. So these are really important to understand to be able to use conditionals in the future. You will try to filter out only yes answers, only no answers, or only males, or only females, etc. But if you don't, of course, you may not want to confine the genders only to binary options. It's completely understandable nowadays. But as you can see, the is married variable, is married type is a binary variable, and it only holds two types of levels. Let me copy paste this to my script to able to have this here. So we have 3 yeses, 2 nos. We are just creating this by hitting Control and Enter. And when we print is married, as you can see, yes, no, yes, yes, no, but we only have 2 levels. So we don't have 4 levels as in our first example. So you need to be aware of your levels as well in order to be able to. Akın Hocam, can you accept?
Yes, I did.
Okay. We have another type of data type. It's time, and you will be able to use this data type very frequently in social data science because many papers or research questions includes at least one time variable. It could be in time series data type, but I strongly don't suggest use to this time series functions. Instead, let me start with showing you how could you install a package. I'm going to suggest you to use Lubridate. What is a Lubridate? Lubridate is a great function, great package. I'm going to search. Let me Lubridate. Okay. Arcran, yeah, you need to go to one page of Lubridate package, and you need to read this reference manual and vignettes. Start with vignettes, but reading manual is the key to understand these packages, grasp the idea behind each and every function. When we open the Lubridate vignette, it says do more with dates and times in R, and it says the truth. So trust me, I have lots of experience using dates and times data types in R. Lubridate makes your life really easy. So how could you use in R if you don't install Lubridate package into your environment, R environment? Just hit install packages, and when you open this function, you can hit tab button and wait for some time, and it opens all CRAN packages. So you can select from here, or you can just write a few letters. As you can see, it's going to filter for you. Don't worry if you don't know the name, you don't remember the name, just hit tab and let the RStudio do the rest for you. So you need to install packages as with install packages function. I'm not going to install it because I have already installed in my R environment. But what you need to do is you need to call the library from your computer where it is stored. So function for calling a package is library. Library is when you hit button, you will see all installed packages now, not installed packages. And once you a few letters, you can just call the whole library from our folder, and it says warning: Lubridate was built under our version 4.2.3, and it fits my our environment, but if you I'm pretty sure you will face this version corruption or version incompatibilities during your analysis. So just go Stack Overflow and search what is the problem. So I'm going to introduce you Stack Overflow, the Mecca or the holy place of all computer scientists or programming programs. Stack Overflow is a place where you could find any kind of questions you can ever think of. I mean, you will surprise that very special, very how can I say, unique questions are already asked. You can imagine, and you can just go to there. Or you can search from here. It's trying to check whether I am a human. Okay, verify. Okay. As you can see, you will see lots of answers about Lubridate package in R, but you can always search it from Google. That's my kind of doing. Just my way of doing search. R Lubridate problem. This is my first 3 words. If you have ever face a problem, R and Lubridate are, of course. You need to state that you are using R, but you can change this package to another package, whatever you are facing a problem with. So don't worry if you are asking too much question to Stack Overflow, if you don't remember the function names, if you can't do anything without Googling it. Programmers are always Google it to write their codes. So don't worry, you don't feel dumb or novice. We do that all the time, and even I still search how to change something with ggplot or something to do with data tables. So I'm going to I Google it to solve my problems as well. So you should definitely do that too. Okay, let me go back to our date time data types. As you can see, we are creating a data type with frequency of 12. It's going to be I don't know what is going to create, but let me create it here another for you. Let me just call day function, and it's going to print today's date or date time function. Date time. Oh, we don't have date time. As you can see, I don't remember function. And once you don't remember function, you can just call the package here. And once you hit semicolons, it will open the functions here. You can just select the function you want to use. And I strongly suggest you trace all of the functions in these packages you are trying to use. Understand and make your life easy to use already in a well formatted functions. So let me just change a string variable to a data type. Let me say char. This is going to be 23 and 21st. Okay. So day char is not a data type. It's in character format. You will need to transform it to as a data type. What you need to do is you just type as or year, month, day function of Lubridate. Year, Y stands for year, M stands for a month, D stands for day, and once you call this day char here, and I'm going to print it here again, you will see it's going to print it the same, but believe me, it's not the same. For example, let me call the day day char. It's going to return the day. Whether you are trying to filter or find out its weekdays of day, you are going to call that function. It's going to return Çarşamba, which means in Turkish Wednesday. So if you are working with different languages, you will need to set this your working environment. For example, Che, She are Turkish special characters. You can use your own language's special characters in our environment, but I don't strongly suggest that you should use these special characters. You should stick with the international English standards to be able to reproducible and shareable research codes, anything. So let me continue with location and geometry. It's a form of spatial data. It comes from geographical formats. SP is the what you need to use this data types. You need to install SP format, but you can use SF too. SF. It's simple features for R special. It is easier than SP in my view. You can understand its functions and how could you do things with SF. I strongly suggest that you should use simple features instead of SP. And here you have lots of vignettes. Please go to these packages, sites, websites, and start reading these vignettes. I can't forget that I was searching for this kind of resources, and I bumped into Princeton's mathematical bootcamp, and Kosuke Imai, who is a prominent scholar in this field, he said that read vignettes, what do you mean? And after that, what do you mean? I haven't read that yet, etc. I mean, you need to read this kind of manuals, this kind of documents to be able to go further in your data science and coding journey. So they are really in detail, so you will be able to understand its basics. Unfortunately, I will not be able to cover them in detail, but as you can see, these are geometry data types in your special data, and you can just produce this kind of maps by using SF functions or other different functions. Also, you will be able to create maps, but I will not cover to prevent confusion. So let me continue with text. And once we are covering text, you need to start reading text as data. Grimmer's prominent article, they just have written the book of this paper, but you will be able to find the text as data paper from this link, and you need to start reading. Let me see. Yeah, no, this is not the paper I am looking for. Text as data Grimmer. You should go to Cambridge. Okay, you should read this paper. It's published in Political Analysis, which is the one of the most prestigious journals in the field. So in this paper, you will see.
Can you use the link to the chats? Can you put back?
I just pasting. Let me show you. Okay. So you should start reading from this paper, and then you can go to the book as well. We have lots of books to read. Chris's books and byte for byte. What was the name of the book, Akın Hocam? Bit by Bit.
Bit by Bit, Matthew Salganik.
Salganik's books. It's also great. And data science for social scientists. I think it came from Harvard or Akın Hocam, can you remember the name of the book?
Which one?
There is another book I'm going to share with you.
What's the topic?
It's computational social science book.
Zachary Steinert had text as data. Do you mean that?
No, not just text. Okay, I'm going to share it you later in this pre-SICSS bootcamp. Don't worry. But as a social scientist, text data is the one of the most frequent data types you are going to face. You are going to use. You will need to understand the basics, and we will have a session on Friday, I think. We will cover lots of things. How could you handle, how could you format or define the analysis units while using text data? And I strongly suggest TM is a very popular package in R, but there's a better option. You should, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to this one because I can't close this. I can close this one. Let me try to write this. Google and Quanteda. Quantitative text analysis and textual data. This is the holy grail of textual analysis. It is written by Kenneth Benoit, a prominent researcher scientist of this package. If you don't know who is Kenneth Benoit, I hope I am pronouncing it right. He is a professor at methodology department of LSE, London School of Economics and Political Science. And as you can see, he has lots of different research interests, but let me go back to, I'm sorry, I'm not using Zoom frequently, so let me do it as a down way. So Quanteda has lots of tutorials or reference manuals. As you can see, there are text models, which are for topic models or classifying textual data, text stats plotting, or using quantitative variables in your textual analysis, or you can plot lots of different types of your data. But we are going to cover Quanteda on Friday. Don't worry if you don't have, if you don't understand anything yet. As I said, you don't need to understand each and everything right now, right away. You need to build your coding muscles and data science understanding muscles bit by bit, as Salganik said. So I'm going to continue with my tutorial. Let me just continue with audio data. So I haven't tried this audio, image, and video codes, but I have a small experience with Imager package. If you want to analyze or do simple image analysis, you need to go to Imager. There are lots of other popular packages as well. You can install these packages as Imager or audio tuner package, or for video, library video. You can just call it from here, and you can direct it to a video file in your computer. You can load it into our environment. I haven't shown you our environment. This is a script page, the script pane, and we have, as you can see, we have our environment, and these are our variables loaded in our environment. You can just call from your console if you have loaded these variables into your environment. So you can see what are the variables or functions you can use from console. You can change its view type to list to be able to have a simplified and also their contents from this view. You can use grid, and you can just remove a few of them by selecting take char is myriad from these clear objects from the workspace button. And it's going to ask you, are you sure? And if you are sure, you are going to say yes, and then okay. And if you want to clean your console, let me show you. You can just clear console button, or if you want to use this as a pro, you can just hit Ctrl+L buttons. So let me continue with data structures, which is the most important part of your data journey, understanding these structures, because you will use these data types into your data structures. And one of the most basic data structures is data frames, and data frames are also be available in Python. They are calling it as data frames, but R has this native data frame function, but it's not my first choice to use to wrangle data sets. If you ask what is my choice, I'm using data tables. Just the data table. Okay. This data table package could be hard to understand if you don't know what you are doing. So there is also an easier package, which is dplayer. This is dplayer package developed by RStudio team, and Lubricate is as well. So they are easy to use and really easy to understand. These base R functions. Let me just show you how could you start learning. I'm sorry. Let me continue with data table R. I'm going to run a page of data table package. Okay, this is not. Okay, this is data table extension of data frame. It's written in C++. It's really fast. It can really handle really huge data if you have enough memory space in your computer. And it has great vignettes, and it's really flexible to use data. If you are familiar with SQL, you can really easily start using this function. And let me show you introduction to data table. You will see there is. Let me show you where is data frame. There's IJ by format if you are familiar with SQL, but if you don't want to use data table straight away, go to dplayer package in R. So you will see here dplayer vignettes, and there are DT player as well. There are SQL extensions, etc. dplayer is really a strong tool that you want in your toolkit. So you should start learning straight away. I strongly suggest, if you are a novice user, if you are really new to data types, data structures, start using dplayer. And it's really come intuitive to you. It will come intuitive to you to understand how could you wrangle, clean, transform, group, filter your data types, data. So lists are another important data structure. So these are a named list. You can, let me just copy paste it to my console. So let me comment here to just right here. I'm going to duplicate it by just hitting Control, Shift, and D keys. Okay, it's really cool shortcuts. You need to learn shortcuts to be able to be more productive. If you want to delete it, just hit Ctrl plus D. Okay, I'm going to duplicate it. We can have a list without names as well. I mean, you don't have to define anything as name. You shouldn't use this name. Okay, this is a very bad habit. Let me call it my list, and I'm going to set this list here because it also refers to the function of list. Okay, don't use the function names as your variable names. My list. Okay, I'm going to put my list. As you can see, in the first index, there is John. In the second, there is 23. There is 55. But what if we want to define it as a named list? Okay, I'm going to call my name list. So as you can see, R changed these indices with the names, and these are really important things to do to define names in your list, which will make your life easier. If you don't use this kind of things, your code could be unreadable or hard to read. Let me just show you another thing. As with this list, I'm going to hit list 2, and I'm going to create a $sign. As you can see, name, age, salary will come. Inherent parameters will come, and when I just hit name or age, it's going to print the value of these names. Okay, let me continue with arrays, matrices. Arrays are also, it's kind of a list, but in computer science, array name is important. You need to understand what's an array, and matrices are 2D arrays. Matrices I find hard to work with, so whenever I face using matrices, I transform them into data tables. Generally, if the function doesn't force me to use matrices, I transform them into data frames, data tables, or deep layer formats. So I'm going to just mention them. I'm not going to cover them because they are really hard to understand this row column format. So just stick with data frames or data tables or whatever you want to use as your tabular format in R. Okay, matrices are hard to work with, but if you are doing lots of machine learning, if you are doing linear algebra, of course you will need to use matrices to vectorize your data or do linear algebra functions, etc. But just don't worry about them yet. It's not going to be important if you don't know how to use them just yet. So graphs are another format. We have great network scientists like Onur Varal Hoca. They are going to cover lots of network analysis, and iGraph is the main package you need to install and start learning and using in our environment. So when you install iGraph and call it from your computer, you can create edges and nodes, and you can define as a directed or undirected format. And whenever you plot it, you will have this nice graph. Let me just paste it to my console. Okay. Let me clear here for you. Okay. Okay. Let me just library iGraph. I press G, and whenever I hit plot P, it just show you the edges. But what if we format it to direct? Let me show you. As you can see, we have these arrows at the end of the direction. So 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 1, 1 goes to 2. You can just change the directions, etc. But you need to experiment around to understand the behavior of functions, or you need to go to iGraph R page, and you should start reading vignettes. Okay, this is really important. Reading these kind of documents to understand what is a package and what are its most important functions. And dictionaries. This is the last type of data structure we are going to cover tonight. They are basically named lists or key and value pairs. When you have keys as USA, UK, France, and their values, Washington, their capital cities in this example, it's basically a list, but it doesn't have to be a list all the time, a dictionary structure. You can use lots of different packages, data structures to create dictionaries. For example, we are going to create a dictionary on Friday to analyze our text. So this is the end of my introductory session today. I know we covered a lot, and I know you are confused. I know you felt immediately insecure, and you think there are many things to learn right away, but just continue at your pace. Don't rush anything. Try to understand the basics, try to understand functions, okay, to continue to your journey. Don't compare yourself to others, please. This is about you and your journey. I want to stress this as an important thing, because I was there. I was a beginner at the beginning of my R journey as well. It's going to take time, whether you are using R or Python. Just don't worry and continue. Consistency is the key. You need to cover lots of tutorials, lots of other lessons, courses from other sources. But you need to write down your own code. Try to write everything to your scripts, okay? Don't just copy paste like me. I can do that because I am an expert, but just don't copy paste anything. Write down anything, even if it is the most dumbest thing, okay? That's all. And if you have questions, I am happy to answer them.
Ahmet, thank you. Do you have Markdown for this? Because
yes, I'm going to share.
I couldn't follow, so I need the Markdown so that I can follow at my own time. So we need the Markdown for this, for us to be able to follow.
Can I share a file with you from here? No, I think
you can send it to me. I can send people.
Okay, I'm just sending right away. So I created this Markdown at the end of this day to be able to explain many things in short. I realized that my recent Markdowns are more complicated. So I'm just sending Hocam right now. Okay. It is sent.
Okay, so I'm going to take this Markdown and I am going to email you with this. You're going to notice that most of the basic to intermediate functions on R and Python are very comparable. Both have similar ways of doing things. And even though the syntax and the grammar of the codes are slightly different, majority of the time, something you can do on Python, you can easily do in R, and this vice versa is valid. So oftentimes, the majority of the work I do is on R, so I feel more comfortable with R. but sometimes certain packages and certain analysis types necessitate me to use Python as well. And when I do that, it feels like I'm using my left hand, but this is the opposite for people who are dominantly Python. And when they have to use R, it feels kind of strange, but you can do pretty much everything, even deep neural networks stuff that Python is most dominant in. You can do that with R as well. So at the end of the day, it's mostly about learning data types, data structures, and what you can do with programming languages. Very recently, there's another programming language called Julia that is becoming very, very popular. A lot of people are using it as well. So my principle is maybe 10 years later, there's going to be a different programming language, and you will have to learn that. Most people who used Pascal, like me years ago, we used Pascal, we then learned JavaScript, we then used C++, and then we had to learn R, we had to learn Python. That's not the problem at all. That's actually the easy part of it. I think the most difficult part always is to have a very clear understanding of computer philosophy and data philosophy in terms of, even if we invented a new programming language, what would you be able to do with it and what would you not be able to do with it? I think like getting that sense is best for computer programming. When I was at the Oxford Internet Institute, I was in the same cubicle with an amazing data scientist. Ahmet would know him, Bharat Ganesh. So Bharat Ganesh was the data scientist who was tasked with doing large-scale analysis for the Trump investigation in the United States. So the project he was working with was enormously important, and he was a top-rated data scientist. He was excellent with R, excellent with Python, excellent with Julia, whatever programming language you throw at him, he was very good. One day, I was just trying to do something on Python, and I was talking about how easy it is to do these things on R. And he said, no, Python is better. And I said, no, R is better. And then there is a data science professor at Oxford Internet Institute called Grant Blank. He taught quantitative analysis at Chicago, at Harvard, at Yale, at UCLA, then Cambridge, then Oxford. So he is, the ultimate authority figure when it comes to teaching data science and teaching quantitative analysis. And Grant Blank is in his 70s, so he had a lot of experience, and he has been teaching these things since he was 30. And we're basically having this conversation with Bharat, Python is better, R is better, and whatever. And then Grant Blank just like walked in, listening to us, but not responding. He's just doing something. And we asked, Grant, you're the best person in the world to know and settle this discussion. Is R better or is Python better? And Grant Blank just basically like stopped for a moment. And then he had a pullover. He just took on the pullover and he had Excel t-shirts underneath. So he said, you don't really use Excel optimally. You're basically using maybe 5% of Excel. And he said, all programming languages are very good, but don't go into this discussion about whether Python or R or Julia until you can use Excel 100%. And he was right. Like the Excel that we use is just a very small portion of it. If you force it, Excel can do a lot of magic as well. So that is why over the last years, I started to spend more time with Excel as well. So I think the more different programming languages we use, the better it is at the end of the day. And again, summer institutes usually focus exclusively on R, because I also find R a very tidy, clear language. Everything is like in places where I last left them. I find Python very chaotic, but that's my own personal opinion. Another person with Python would find it very easy, very useful. They would find R silly and useless, and that's okay. My suggestion: learn as many programming languages as you can. Learn Excel well, learn R well, learn Python well. Most of my workflow actually starts with Excel, and then I migrate to R, and then I take it and do some kind of product with Python with it. So I use all of them. But so I'm going to send this markdown over to you. What I'm going to request from you today, tomorrow, try to, like Ahmet said, like don't copy paste, because you know, that copying pasting doesn't really teach that much. But you know, type and follow each code structure and see, you know, what it does. We're going to have a similar introduction to Python tomorrow with Fuat as well. So at least we can cover the very basics of these programming languages. I want to make sure, because like, yes, we had a committee selecting all of you. It was not just me. There were several other people. So we selected you thinking that you're good, but I didn't see you coding or programming. So maybe some of you are good, maybe some of you are not very good. I just wanted to make sure that everyone has this like fundamental knowledge about data structures, integers, string data, categorical data. I want to be sure, because when we go into more advanced stuff, I need to make sure that you know all these you know, introductory things. So let's finish right now. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to immediately send the markdown to you via email, so that you can play with the markdown on your own time. Tomorrow we are going to meet at the exact same time, or are we? Let me look at the schedule. Yes, 7 p.m. We have to do this 7 p.m. because some of you are working full time, so we have to wait for them to get out of their jobs. We have people attending from the United States, so time difference. So we do 7 to 9. In the meantime, if you have any questions about, you know, the logistics, you can email the Summer Institute Gmail account. You can email me if you have, I don't know, any private questions you want to ask. But feel free to ask these questions via email as well. So from today onwards, we're going to have a very intense training module. Everything will go very fast. In terms of expectations, so previously I was one of the instructors and planners of multiple summer institutes like Oxford Spring School, ICPSR at Michigan, Essex Summer School. In terms of managing expectations, nobody can learn data science in 2 weeks. The purpose of these summer institutes and summer programs are basically this. There's a curriculum. Whoever can teach at that given time and whatever they're working on, they teach, they give you the materials, markdown, data, and whatever. You see and get exposed to new ideas, new methods, new techniques, but learning them happens when you work on them on your own time after the program is over, in the next 6 months, in the next year. So in terms of, you know, when things start to get fast and you get overwhelmed, oh, this is too much, oh, this is, you know, I can't really follow, I didn't really learn. Nobody can learn these things in 2 weeks. The best you can do is to get exposed, meet new people, meet new techniques, become aware of a new concept, a new tool, take very good notes on your computer or on your you know, desk, your notebook, But at the end of the day, you will be subjected to a lot of good material, but learning this material happens when you're at home on your own time. So basically the learning parts of these materials, the digestion part of these materials will take at least 6 months. There are alumni, graduates of our 2019 Summer Institute that are still asking questions about the material they learned 4 years ago. You know, what was this? Can you remember that? So it's an ongoing process. So be inspired, but you know, in terms of, you know, when you feel like you're not learning or everything is going too fast, that's not a big problem. You know, Oxford Spring School in political methodology is just 4 days, and we're basically bombarding people with even like we don't even have a boot camp. You know, people who don't have a statistics background have to be thrown immediately into a deep learning program, and some of them don't really understand that much. What they do is that they take those materials, they go home. So in order for me to understand deep neural networks, what additional things do I have to learn? So they basically built a self-learning schedule for them, and then they learn. SICSS Summer School is the same way. We expose people at SICSS Summer School to like 20 different methods. It's impossible to learn 20 methods in 2 weeks. It's even impossible to learn just one method in 2 weeks. The idea is to get exposed, learn new ideas and learn new things. But the majority of actual absorbing and digestion of this material is going to start after the program is over. So in terms of managing the expectations, try to get exposed to as many different ideas as possible. Try to ask as many different ideas as possible. And of course, the end result of the Summer Institute, try to find a good research topic that you can start at the Summer Institute and you can pursue for the next year. Let this Summer Institute become the springboard of a long-term project based on what you learn. So let's stop here. Thank you so much for joining. I know that some of you are actually good with R. You didn't leave. You're very kind. Thank you very much. Tomorrow is the same way. We're going to do an introduction to Python. Again, you can follow that. If you're very good with Python, you don't have to attend. And then next day and the next day and the next day, we're going to just build up on these things. So I'm going to stop recording.